Hey everyone, and welcome to my weekly live stream. My name is Nicole, coming at you from a remote location one more time this week before I'm in my usual studio with all of my stuff. Apparently, I might need a ring light more often than I think because this green screen almost works, but the amount that it doesn't work is actually pretty funny. So I mostly talk about things related to tech and marketing in terms of small business, but I also wanted to put out there for those of you who've been maybe watching a while, I haven't actually mentioned this in a while. We actually work with all kinds of companies. So the kind of myth is that we only work with small companies, restaurants, retail, bed and breakfasts. I'm trying to think, bookstores. I mean, you name it. But also, we do work with larger organizations as well. So we've worked with insurance companies, we've worked with banks, we've worked with hospitals, like larger companies, and we've worked with larger budgets as well. I've worked with a $9,000 a month retainer. I've worked on a $35,000 web project. So don't think that because we're a small company doesn't mean we can't do big projects, because we actually do them a little bit more often than most people think. So if you're watching this and you work for a big company and you think that an outside set of eyes could help you out or some help on a project, just keep us in mind. So without further ado, today we're talking about Google My Business. So Google My Business is a free tool that's offered by Google. Now, obviously, it's a free tool offered by Google, and that's lovely, but they're getting something out of it. You know what I mean? So Google My Business, like I said, you can set up a business profile. If you've ever searched for like coffee shops near me, or if you're looking for a hardware store in a particular town, you probably noticed that if you're in Google and do this search, there's a little thing that pops up kind of in the sidebar if you're on a computer, or just something that has a map. And the map, is showing you the location of things, and it's giving you information like the website, the phone number, hours that it's open, that kind of thing. So that's a Google My Business listing. And these listings are free. Now, I will tell you, and I'll warn you that once you actually claim your business on Google My Business, you'll start getting phone calls of people, the people who call you about your car's extended warranty. I think they hang out with the same people who will call and scream at you about your Google business listing. I think there must be in the same call center. I bet they share the same break room, because it's a similar vibe. They call me multiple times a week to tell me that my Google business listing is dangerously out of date. So I'm telling you that you will get these calls, but it is worth getting these calls to get the benefits that you will get from setting up your business on Google My Business. Actually, as we're starting and I'm seeing people starting to watch, if you want to leave comments, you're welcome to do that wherever you're watching this from. If your profile is visible, I should be able to see them. I know with YouTube, it usually hasn't been a problem, but with Facebook, sometimes it is. So if you go here, you can enable comments. I think probably if you go to streamyard.com/YouTube, if you're having problems with your YouTube account, I think it depends on your privacy settings and kind of what you have set up. So if you want to make sure your comment is seen, just double check that. But the thing with Google My Business is, yeah, it's free. And yeah, you will get calls from Google or people who want you to think they're Google trying to sell you stuff. But it's worth doing for the amount of visibility that you're going to get. So I wanted to dispel a couple of myths about Google My Business that I've seen so that, you know that they're not true. The first myth I've seen about Google My Business is that you need a specific location to do it. And the reality is that you don't. So let's say that you're a graphic designer, you work out of your house, you don't want weird people showing up at your house for graphic design work. You can check off a box as you're setting up the listing called I serve my customers at their business at location. And what that means is it won't show your address. You can also set what's called a service area. So if I, want to, and obviously, prior to COVID, this was a little bit more of a big deal. Now people are used to meeting on Zoom and stuff like that, but sometimes people wanted to work with someone who is physically close by or whose office they could drive to. So you can set service areas. So if someone searches for graphic designer Bar Harbor and you've set that in your service area, you'll come up. So you do not need a specific location to have a Google business listing. You can, if you work out of your home, you can keep your location information secure and not visible while also being a part of a local search of the community you happen to be in. The second myth I want to dispel is that you can't map separate addresses at the same location. So we run into this in our co-working space all the time. For our highest level members, we offer them their own address. And what we do is we offer them an address separate to ours, but that's, so that they can map a separate location. So if they want to have their own Google My Business listing, for example, if they want to do certain things like that, it will be mapped separately from Anchorspace, but they'll be able to have that visibility. So if you're wondering what the difference between, $3.99 and $1.99 is for our Anchorspace memberships, there you go. That's one of them anyway. So so if you are working at your local co-working space, or if you share a location with another business, you can map your location separately while using the same address, sort of anyway. And then, number 3 is that, that you have to be like a brick and mortar or a small business to be able to use Google My Business. I'll tell you a brief story about how I know this isn't true. So I have a client who, obviously they have a business that's based somewhere, right? Like we all have to be based somewhere. So he has a business that's based somewhere, but he only does sales online. So I said, hey, and this was a few years ago. I said, hey, I was doing a lot of work for him. I want like a company that's not my company to do some experiments of Google My Business. Do you mind if we do it for you for like 6 months for free? And he was like, well, why would I say no to that? So if you do a lot of work with us, like we try to throw you a bone once in a while if we can. And so for this guy, we did it for like 6 months. So at the end of the 6-month period, I went to go pull the report of the stats and I almost fell out of my chair. Over 20,000 website visits from it. I couldn't believe the number. Like I wasn't really expecting any kind of outcome like that, but we actually did drive traffic to his online only website. So yes, if you have an e-commerce site, you can have a Google business listing. Obviously you're somewhat based somewhere. So essentially Google My Business, if you're a small business, even if you're not a business with a physical location, even if you're mostly online, even if you work out of something like a co-working space or some kind of shared building arrangement, you can totally use Google My Business. So what do we need to do? Let me go through kind of what this sort of looks like. And I'm just going to share my screen here, which I meant to do earlier. So like I said, so Google My Business lets you, when you go to google.com/business, and I'll put this on you need a free like Google. So I have a G Suite account. So like my email is hosted through Google with my domain. So if you have a G Suite or a Google Business account, for your email, you can use that. Or if you have a free Gmail account, you can use that to set it up. And once you have a Google account, you can go to google.com/business and you can either claim a business if it's already listed in Google and no one's claimed it, and it's yours, you can claim it. Or if your business isn't listed by Google at all, you can add it. So what I did is, I made a business listing. So this is an example of one of my business listings. Now, once you make the business listing, if it's not already on Google, or you claim it if it is on Google and obviously nobody's managing it, you can kind of tell the listings that no one's managing, like there's no pictures, like it looks kind of like a ghost town. What it's going to do is it's going to mail you a postcard to your business address. And they figure that if you can check the mail at the business, that you're probably connected to the business in some way. So you're going to go through this and it's going to say, we're going to send you a verification postcard. And 4 to 5 business days later, you're going to get a postcard with a code on it. You're going to log into this account and you're going to put in the code and then you're verified. So once you're verified, obviously it's easier to make changes, but you can still get this mostly set up before you're verified. So don't think that if you're watching this today and you're like, I'm really motivated and I want to do this today, you can get this set up today. You don't have to wait for the verification to happen. The verification just makes making changes and having them go live more quickly, more easily, and access to certain features. So once you make your Google account and claim your business, like I said, while you're either waiting for the verification postcard or once you get it in, if you want to verify it first, you want to fill out your profile as completely as possible. And I want to mention something here that I really didn't really pay a lot of attention to until, I don't know, I started looking online. So there's a little something called attributes. So if you've ever, and let me just actually show you an example of one. Once you see this, you'll be like, oh, okay. So this is from, I just grabbed this from wordstream.com. So what you'll notice is under this business listing, we see that, they have, so dine-in is not available, but they have takeout and they have delivery. So if you've ever wondered, like, how does Google know that? well, I can assure you that Google is not calling businesses and asking them, like, they don't have time for that. But what you can do as a business owner is you can set these attributes within your Google business listing. So if someone is looking for delivery, if someone is looking for a wheelchair accessible space, if someone is looking for, there's like hundreds of attributes. And actually, oh my God, there we go. I'm having clicking problems today. Actually, let me make it the full screen, then you can see it better. So what's really hilarious is I cannot find a complete listing of Google My Business attributes anywhere. So I don't want to talk to this person, and I'm just gonna, but you'll see a full list here. So if you're a healthcare business, it'll give you these attributes to add. If you're retail or food services, these are the attributes that are available to you. So different attributes obviously have different, we have accessibility ones for all businesses, that kind of thing. So these are all the ones that are available. There's like hundreds of them. And what you can do when you're editing your info, one of the options is to edit your amenities or your attributes. So when I go in here, I can say that I'm a woman-owned business or a woman-led business, which I am. And I can say that our entrance is actually wheelchair accessible. So I can apply all of these different attributes to my listing. And what that allows Google to do is know that these things are available to people who visit my business. So otherwise, like I said, Google doesn't necessarily know where to look, right? So what you want to do regardless is you want to fill out the profile as completely as possible, as much as you can. Now, there's a couple of other areas actually that I probably should show you while we're back here. First of all, there is, oh my God, hold on. So in addition to info, there's also products and services. So what you can do is if you have an e-commerce site or something like that, you can add products. You can have, as you see here, we have our technology rentals available, and we're able to sort of set what these are and actually drive people to the part of the website that has equipment rental. And what's really funny is the other day I was looking at our web stats and I saw that like 35 people had looked at our equipment rental in the last month, and we're not great about promoting it. So I have a feeling that they came from here. So you can add products, you can add services, you can also add the ability to book. So obviously, like this applies to certain businesses, not every business, but fill out not only the information section with like your hours and your, with all of this stuff as you can, like how you take payments and all that, but also fill out these other areas as well. I think it's really important to do that because, right, the more information you can give, the better. Now, in addition, just like most social media sites, Google My Business, because it is a social media site, if we think about it, have the ability to have you add posts. So in particular, you can add events to Google. And if someone's looking, it's funny because so if someone's looking at my co-working space and they can see one of the tabs that they have before you even click into it is when there are events coming up. So when we have workshops, those are really visible on our Google business listing when we add them to the listing. So you can add events, which are, kind of like specific kinds of posts, right? Just like they are on Facebook. You can also add just informational kind of status update type of posts to your page. I try to do it about once a week to our pages just to like make us be a little bit more visible. Now, if you're the kind of person who forgets things, I feel you. And if you want to schedule them ahead of time, there is software that lets you do that. The two that I know about are Recur Post and OneUp. But there might be other ones too, but those are the two I know that work with Google My Business. And I've actually used before. So just throwing that out there. If you're the kind of person who wants to like think about scheduling your Google updates ahead of time and then not thinking about it again, that's totally, I get that. And then once and like I said, as you're adding occasional stuff to your page is Google is thinking, oh, they do stuff. This might be important. They come and index it. You're more visible. And then an additional way to be more visible is to try to get some initial reviews on your page. I had a colleague who worked really closely with Google, and he said kind of 5 seemed to be the magic number. So if you are, competing or whatever with other businesses and they don't have any reviews and you have 5 on Google, well, you look a lot more legit than the average person. So what I would do is, if you want 5 reviews, ask 10 people. And people who already have Gmail addresses aren't going to have to make a whole account to leave you a review, right? So you can ask past customers or friends who've been to your business who you've, like I said, I wouldn't ask someone to say something fraudulent about a business, but like, people who've been, they can say they can say what the space is like because they've been to the space. They can say what our programming is like, that kind of thing. I don't think anybody should be lying on reviews, but getting an initial few reviews from people that are close to you and your business, I don't think is a bad thing. Kind of gets people seeing that they can leave a review and that the business is going to actually pay attention to it. So that's what I would do. And that's what we did when we first opened Acrespace is, just to get us a little bit kind of more on the radar, a little bit faster. We did get those kind of 5 initial reviews. And I feel like it really did make us more visible. When people looked us up, they were able to see that we were a legitimate business pretty quickly. And finally, what I do too is just make an appointment with yourself to update your listing quarterly. Now, if you want, there's also something called Bing Places, which is basically like Google My Business, but on Bing. And you can actually sync your Google Business listing with your Bing Places listing. So when you update your Google Business listing, it'll update your Bing listing automatically. So obviously things like your hours are going to change. Maybe your products and services are going to change a little, that kind of thing. So just like, make it a point to kind of check it once every few months and see that everything's up to date. And if not, just make the change. It's not like it takes a long time, but it's nice to kind of check in and have people know that they can rely on Google for your actually accurate hours. So what can you expect from filling out a Google My Business listing, from actually doing this stuff? And, honestly, like I said, if you want to do Bing at the same time, you might as well. People do use Bing. Not everybody uses Google. It's, so, and if can just sync automatically, you're talking maybe a couple of hours of your life entirely to do this. Maybe a little longer if you're adding photos and stuff like that, but like, why not? Just like spend an afternoon and get them both done. Here's what you can expect. First of all, you're going to be coming up in search a little bit more. So let's just take a look at like some of the insights that you can get from this. And so, like I said, so Google holds what's called your insights, Google My Business. So this is, by the way, I'm looking at my New York business because honestly, Bar Harbor has been insane. In the summer, Bar Harbor is insane. And I don't think it's necessarily fair to compare that kind of traffic with just a typical. So this is, this is in a town with 10,000-ish people. Okay. So this is a year-round business with 10,000-ish people without a busy summer. Okay. So this is just normal here. So as you see, I came up and searched 284 times. So people directly looking for my business, though, is only a portion of that. So only like this green part, 97. Oh, it did show up. Yeah. 97 people were directly looking for my business. But discovery is people who were searching for my, like something in my category. So they might not know my name, but they're like, oh, we're looking for a co-working space, or we're looking for a rentable office space, or we're looking for a conference room, or we're looking for a meeting space. So as you see, the discovery is higher because, yes, I have some brand recognition, but people who are new to the area or people who are visiting temporarily don't necessarily know. So I think this is a really powerful thing because even someone who's not thinking to search for you, you're coming up in their Google search. Now, besides knowing, and I think it keeps this data for 3 months. Yeah, 1 quarter. So if you want to keep this information longer term, I don't know, you can screenshot it or something like that. But if you want to be able to reference it more historically, you've got to figure out a plan for that. So as you see here, so this is 1 month views as well, but I could go back a quarter if I want. So this is, how the views worked out. So we had 299 total views, right? And this is how they kind of broke down by date. So let's say that I was doing an event or I'd done a press release or something. I could kind of see if that upped the amount of times I was searched or something like that. And then this is kind of the most powerful thing to me. This is customer actions in the last month. So I can see when someone visited my website, when someone requested directions, and when someone called me. So you'll be able to see this data too. And again, it keeps it it keeps it for 3 months. So it doesn't keep it forever, but it keeps it somewhat. So, you can expect that you're going to be more visible. Like that discovery thing is really powerful because a lot of people will email us and say, I didn't even know there was a co-working space in this small town or whatever. And it's because they weren't thinking to look for it, but Google suggested it to them as a place to maybe go. So you are going to come up and search more, especially obviously on Google. The other thing you can sort of expect is generally more website traffic. I told you about the 20,000 or 25,000. I can't remember. It was a lot and I wasn't expecting it. You're going to get more traffic to your website because there's a little website button that's below every business listing. And so if you have a website and you're linked to it, it's very clickable. It's a very clickable little button. And the final thing I think that you can expect is a little bit more credibility, in particular if you're a very small business. So, like if I'm hiring somebody, a lawn care services type company and you're a one person show, if you have some positive Google reviews, that gives me kind of more confidence to hire you because I see that other people have liked working with you in the past and that you're an actual business who have an actual business listing. So yeah, so to me, those are all really good reasons to do it, is to have that credibility and stuff like that. So all this to say is totally worth setting up your Google business listing, in my opinion, and getting that visibility. And it's worth a couple of spammy phone calls, in my opinion. So thank you so much for watching this live stream. I'm going to put up my social media here if you want to stay in touch in other ways. We go live at 9:15 Eastern Standard Time on Tuesdays on Facebook, on YouTube, and on Twitter, working on getting Instagram and LinkedIn working. So, but for now, we have to upload those after the fact. Always getting better. And if you liked this video, wherever you're watching this, there's archives of past videos of other topics that might be of interest to you. I've recently organized the YouTube channel into playlists. So there's a website playlist, there's a social media playlist, and there's kind of a general business playlist that has things like creating a subscription product or selling things with online forums. Like it's a little bit more like overall business kind of stuff and a little bit less about about a specific technology. Yeah, so check those out and please recommend us to a friend or colleague if you think we can be of help with our videos or if you want to work together in the future. Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day and take care.